I'm actually rather stunned at that scene because I must have forgotten it or just had never seen it before. It's a very interesting scene. It's also one that will come to make sense later on. At least in my opinion. And if everything, like I said at the very last episode, I'll take some time to sit down and explain what I think is the story of the game. Which I actually found that to be a really powerful scene right there. That was very interesting.
The moon over the Sanford Junction, headlights in your retinas. Donnelly drove a grey hatchback without a bottom. All the creatures of the tarmac rose to sing to him. All manner of symbols crudely scrawled across the cliff face of my unrest. My life reduced to an electrical diagram. All my gulls have taken flight. They will no longer roost on these outcrops. The lure of the moon over the Sanford Junction is too strong.
You see the shadow?
Dear Esther, I find each step harder and heavier. I drag Donnelly's corpse on my back across these rocks, and all I hear are his whispers of guilt, his reminders, his burnt letters, his neatly folded clothes. He tells me I was not drunk at all.
I'm thinking some of you might actually have figured the story out by now. I'd like to see what you think. And if anything, write it out in the comment section. But please do put a spoiler tag or a spoiler warning on there if you're gonna make a little theory on the story so far. Because I do believe people might be a little bit dismayed if they don't get a chance to think for themselves, so to speak, or make their own little theory.
Hall by the roadside, by the exit for Damascus, all ticking and cooled, all feathers and remorse, all of these signals routed like traffic through the circuit diagrams of our guts, those badly ridden boats torn bottomless in the swells, washing us forever ashore.
Something about plight, error, something about shining, something shone. The error of his plight shone, something like that. Dead seagulls, huh? That's interesting.
From here, I can see my armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic, and I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
He's saying his final goodbyes, huh? Suppose those parallel lines are starting to ring true, so to speak. And all on a sudden, a light from heaven shone around him, and he fell to the ground. And then we have bird eggs. That's interesting. Which I've said quite a bit of times right now, and I should almost make a little count by the end of how many times I've said that. But, once again, I might be able to see some of the things written on the rocks in the distance. But don't worry, this will all be not explained, but it will be explored a bit later on. Footsteps are back. I don't really mind them too much out here.
I will drag my leg behind me. I will drag it like a crumpled hatchback, tires blown and sparking across the dimming lights of my vision. I'm running out of painkillers and am following the flicker of the moon home. When Paul keeled over dead on the road to Damascus, they restarted his heart with the jump leads from a crumpled hatchback. It took 21 attempts to convince it to wake up.
Do you see the shadow? I'll be honest with you, the first time I played this, I didn't actually notice it. And I almost filled my damn pants when I did. Get out there. I know you run into it at one point. Come on, if it's here.
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fibre, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
Shadows appeared once more. And as he was pricing on his journey, something about his journey, I have no idea what the price was supposed to be. It was just price. That's a word I do not know. I'm sorry. He comes near top Damascus. Car is almost giving me the bums again.
If only Donnelly had experienced this, he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis, retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection.
If you play this game in a room, alone at night when it's dark, I think you might get the bums yourself every once in a while. Just something so extremely haunting about this game. And I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. The isolation, the music.
Returning to my car afterwards, hands still shaking, and a head split open by the impact. Goodbye to tearful aunts and traumatized uncles. Goodbye to the phenomenal. Goodbye to the tangible. Goodbye Wolverhampton. Goodbye Sanford. Goodbye Cromer. Goodbye Damascus. This cliff path is slippery in the dew. It is hard to climb with such an infection. I must carve out the bad flesh and sling it from the aerial. I must become infused with the very air.
The main character really isn't holding up too well, it seems. And it came to pass that he made something come to pass. Yeah. This lesson has gotten rather morose. I'm afraid this really isn't a game that it's very hard, very easy to joke around with. It's gotten a very set theme from the get-go. And if you let it, it'll quickly pull you in.
I have dredged these waters for the bones of the hermit, for the traces of Donnelly, for any sign of Jakobsen's flock, for the empty bottle that would incriminate him. I have scoured this stretch of motorway 21 times, attempting to recreate his trajectory, the point when his heart stopped dead and all he saw was the moon over the Sanford Junction. He was not drunk, Esther. He was not drunk at all, and it was not his fault. It was the converging lines that doomed him. This is not a recorded natural condition. The gulls do not fly so low over the motorway and cause him to swerve. The paint scored away from his car in lines like an infection, making directly for the heart.
He's starting to talk nonsense. I think he might be getting close to lose all of the to be expected if he's cutting off his own flesh from his leg and he wants to keep on walking. Trudging along at this point in time.
I have run out of places to climb. I will abandon this body and take to the air. Dear Esther, I have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jakobsen? Who remembers him? Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly? Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from him. There will be another to these shores to remember me. I will rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an aerial, a beacon, that they will not forget you. We have always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul Jakobsen flying beside me. They will leave white lines carved into the air to reach the mainland, where help will be sent.
He actually said it for me. But I know for a fact I haven't heard that ending before.
Esther. come back.
As always, my name is Mr. Raven. Thank you very much for watching Let's Play Dear Esther. Have a great night.